G'day guys, my name is Marty aka CrypticExistence, and it's been a massive week in Call of Duty Ghost news and next gen consoles and release dates and everything. So enjoy the game in the background. It's a 50 bomb and let's have a bit of a chat about Call of Duty Ghosts. Alrighty guys, so as I said, it's going to be so exciting to have this Ghost game finally on our shelves, and we know it should be around the November 4 mark, so that's really cool. I'm a little bit sketchy about what's going to happen with the PS4 release and things. I have heard rumors that's October. I want to have this game and be able to play it when it's launched. Alternatively, I might look into buying it for the PS3, and if I do, and then just play it a little bit and then move on to my PS4. I might even offer throwing it away on YouTube, give it to someone or something, or trade it in. I'd have yet to think of that, but yeah, pretty excited. Today's video, it is a little bit long, but I'll tell you what, I've just taken 3 takes at this and cannot get it under 10 minutes, so I'm going to really try and push this out quickly. And what I'm talking about today is the perks and how things are going to be exciting in that regard for future. As you can see, there's a ridiculous amount of perks. There's 35 in total, which is just ridiculous. I can barely make up my mind already on perks. 35 of them is just going to absolutely put my brain into a meltdown. So I wanted to have a chat about these, what I have heard or what I've seen they might be. And by all means, throw us some comments and tell me if I'm wrong, because look, at the end of the day, no, I'm not playing the game and neither are you, so it is speculation and everyone's opinion is fair. So look, first of all, we'll go for the speed. The first thing looks like a fast moving gun, so I reckon that's quick draw, aim down your sights really quickly. Next thing looks a lot like sleight of hand from MW3. Cannot wait to get my hands back on that, because I hate the fast mags attachment that we have at the moment. The next thing looks like lightweight, so I'm gonna call out that's lightweight. And the next thing looks a little bit like a running man, also known probably in our books as a marathon. The last one's a little bit strange, looks a lot like a bear. I reckon it looks like a wolf, and thus I reckon it is your stalker perk, which I'm really excited about, because I loved using this. I used it on all my classes previously, so pumped. The next section is called handling. So the first thing I hear is called strong arm. Now I hear this because apparently you can't throw equipment very far, so you use this to be able to throw C4, for example, a little bit further. Your Semtex, your explosions, all that sort of junk. So having said that, I don't know if Semtex exists or C4. So I reckon the first one's called strong arm, and it helps you throw things a long way. The next thing I hear is a perk that allows you to reload while sprinting. So for me, that's really exciting. Looks a lot like a man in a clip. So yeah, that's really exciting, because I always am sprinting, especially in game modes like Hardpoint or something, where you really just want to get into the place you want to be at. So yeah, that's really cool. The next thing looks a lot like, fast hands. Swap weapons quickly. It doesn't look like fast hands itself, but it looks like a perk that will allow you to swap weapons quickly. Something I'll probably never use, because I normally don't use secondaries. Then we've got steady aim. That's pretty clear to be the same that we see in MW3. And the last thing looks a lot like, to me, I think that looks a lot like reduced flinch when hit. See how the arrow is pointing up and the gun is dragging up? Or maybe it's better control on your recoil. Not quite sure. Other websites and things that I've seen actually think this is dexterity. I'm not sure, but I'm not going to argue. So the next section, we've got stealth. The first thing looks like a man with an X over his mouth, and in the game, if we've heard already, if you've heard like I have, our teammate sort of players, not the actual teammates like the humans, but the players in the game, will be calling out enemies during the game. That's really exciting, but at the same time, that's going to give your position away to enemies, so you've got this perk to shut your guy up. The next thing looks a lot like Blind Eye, you know, don't get hit by air support. The next thing's called Off the Grid, also known as something like, you know, be away from UAV, or in this game called SATCOMs. The one after that is called, actually, I think that's Dead Silence. So, you know, you're going to have quiet footsteps and things. The more I look at it, the more I'm thinking that's probably something to do with Dead Silence. And the last one in the stealth section looks a little bit like some sort of lizard in Crosshairs. It looks a little bit like Cold-Blooded to me. So it's a funky looking lizard, but that's what I reckon it is. Awareness. The first thing looks a lot like a UAV type thing, and I hear that it might be something that is like you can tag your enemies when you wound them. So if you shoot someone cross map, they're going to appear on your teammate's minimap. That's kind of cool. I like that concept. The next thing is pretty clear to be a scavenger bird, so I reckon that's a scavenger perk. And then we've got sit rep. Of course, we've got to be able to detect enemy explosives and things. To me, it's not that big. I never really used it, so yeah. The next one looks like sort of like an awareness type thing where you can hear footsteps. So that's always going to be good for search and destroy. And the last thing looks like, have you see it? To me, it looks a lot like the little, almost like those little things on the SATCOMs. They've got like little satellite dishes, and I've done some research, and it looks a little bit like it might be called wiretap. In which case, it'd be cool if you'll be able to access your enemy's SATCOMs. So that one, I'm sort of pulling it out of nowhere, but that would be really, really, really cool, because those things, the more of them you have on the map, the better it is for your team. In this case, maybe just for you if you can access your enemies ones. So next we've got resistance. First thing looks a lot like taking like no fall damage, so you can drop a long way. Next thing looks like painkiller, but I think it just means that you might regenerate health quicker. That to me is pretty exciting. Having said that, you know, when you start getting hit, you either win that battle or you don't. So, you know, I'm not going to rely on that. Then we've got what looks like a guy aiming down sight. So that might be like stopping power. Now that I think about it, maybe this is our reduced flinch perk. I reckon that would be our toughness perk. Then we've got resistance to like flash and concussion type grenades, and then I reckon we've got resistance to explosive, a lot like blast shield. Equipment looks like an extra tactical equipment followed by an extra lethal. Next thing looks like we've got extra mags, and the one after that, it looks like a gun with a bunch of things attached to it. So that might be like additional attachments, which is kind of cool. I like sometimes having a gun only type class, so that's pretty cool. And then the last thing looks a little bit like an explosion. I pray that it's not danger close, and gives your explosions more power, because I hated that on MW3. But who knows? Now these last ones are a little bit random. Some of these look exciting, and some of these look very, very expensive in terms of perk wise. So the first thing looks like Gambler. So I say it looks like Gambler because that's what I've read. It looks like something called Gambler. You know, this might be used to re-roll care packages. It might also, I hear that it could be used to start with a random perk. That's different. So every time you spawn, you get a different random perk. It's kind of cool. You might get a really big one for the value of only 1 point. So interesting. Next thing looks like hardline. Earn your streaks that little bit quicker. I generally use that. I like that because sometimes it's good just to get them out that little bit quicker. The next thing I hear is called ping. So when an enemy kills someone of yours, it will sort of show up in some regard. Maybe it's that skull that we always use in the current game. And next thing after that looks a lot like what would be overkill, carry a couple primaries. And the final one is a little bit interesting. I hear it's called Deadeye, and I hear your bullets get a little bit more powerful after each consecutive kill. So guys, thanks so much for your time. Thanks for hanging out. If you've enjoyed this, subscribe if you're not new, or if you are new. And feel free to check out my previous video where I'm talking about some addictions that I seem to have at the moment. So, cheers guys, have a good one.